everyone, I'm Ree. Welcome aboard my train of thought. For today's video, I'm going to be talking about a show that is kind of new on Netflix. And I know like the discourse on it already passed, but like I've seen it being trashed on the internet for one specific scene, and I watched it whole, and I don't know, I just want to give my opinion on it. I've seen a few videos on the show pop up here and there. I haven't watched them, but yeah, I don't know what the actual consensus is on the whole show outside from like the Twitter discussion on that specific scene that I'm gonna talk a little bit more about later. But anyways, the show I'm talking about is Ginny and Georgia on Netflix, and this is basically a present day Gilmore Girls, but with some crime and murder slash mystery sprinkled in somehow. So, as the name of the show suggests, our two main characters are Ginny and Georgia. Ginny, full name Virginia, is a 15-year-old. She's, well, the daughter. And Georgia is 30, I think 30 or 31, something like that. And, well, she's the mom. And she had Ginny when she was 15 and has been trying to make a good life for both of them ever since. And somewhere along the way, after she had Ginny, like 7 years after, she had another kid whom she named Austin. But he's not really that relevant to the plot, so I'm not even gonna like talk about him a lot. Anyways, the show begins when Ginny's stepfather, Kenny, dies in a car accident. And he was like a very wealthy man, and he left a lot of money for Georgia and Ginny and Austin. Kenny was not Austin's father, by the way. Like he had barely just married Georgia when he died. So Georgia decides to use the money that Kenny left them to move from Texas to Wilkes-Barre, Massachusetts. And we come to learn that they apparently move a lot, and everywhere they move, Georgia gets a new man. And this time, neither Ginny nor Austin are excited about it. They just want to like settle down and live their lives without their mother hooking up with another random guy and then having to move away again. Now, after they get to Wellsbury, which is like a very nice, very wealthy neighborhood in Massachusetts, very white, the show gets kind of like split in two plot lines, which is to be expected, the Ginny plotline and the Georgia plotline. And of course, at some point, they like the two plot lines converge. Like, of course, they have things in common, but like both main characters are dealing with very different things throughout the show. And like in a very general way, without giving away that many spoilers, on Ginny's side, you get like the typical teenager stuff, dealing with discovering your own identity, wanting to fit in with your friends, wanting to actually have friends, and also like very typical boy stuff, like, having sex with your neighbor the very first week that you're in the neighborhood on the very same day that you just went on in a date with a really nice guy who's your neighbor's twin sister's friend. Normal boy problems, happens to everyone. Also, there's like school pressure, your teacher being racist, your mom lying about her past while trying to give you like a good life. Normal stuff. Ginny's storyline is like the most typical. Like the weirdest thing that happens to her usually comes like from Georgia's side, or yeah, other than like Georgia's stuff impacting Ginny's life, her life is a pretty typical teenager's life. Now, on Georgia's side, oh my God, that's like the interesting storyline. Like honestly, I have nothing against Ginny. I usually love a normal teenager coming of age story, but Georgia's storyline is like that was what kept me watching. And since Georgia's storylines are like the most interesting, I don't want to like get too deep into them, because if you haven't watched the show, I'd rather you go in like not knowing that much about the plot lines. But just like in a very general overview, I guess she has like a very troubled past, and she ran away from home when she was 15. And ever since she's been, you know, moving from state to state. When they get to Massachusetts, she sets her eyes on the mayor, who's like very young and like the most eligible bachelor in Wellsbury or something like that. And she gets a job in the mayor's office, and then she starts eventually dating him. Well, she has like a very mysterious, you could say, kind of life. So again, I really don't want to spoil anything. But in my opinion, George's storyline is what carries the show. Like, I loved Ginny's storyline, and when I get to talking to the characters, I'm going to talk mainly about characters that interact with Ginny rather than with Georgia. But because the thing is, Ginny's storyline, in my opinion, or for me, was fun to watch because I liked the characters surrounding her, or I liked her reaction to the characters surrounding her. Georgia's storyline was fun to watch because I was interested in what Georgia was gonna do, how Georgia was going to like keep this up. And honestly, the characters surrounding Georgia were not that meh. They weren't that interesting for me, at least. Like I don't have many thoughts on the mayor or like the gay assistant of the mayor. Like no, they're fine. They're not bad characters. They're not. They're just not like I'm gonna give my opinion on them, you know? And with that said, that was a good segue. I'm gonna talk about the characters. So, of course, I gotta talk about Georgia first because I really liked her. Like, yeah, she can be a bitch sometimes, like an actual bitch. But that just made me like her even more. Like, she's resourceful, she's clever. I I don't know why, but I kind of loved her accent. Like, usually in normal circumstances, I don't really like that southern twang. Like, I like it sometimes, but not usually like in TV shows because it can be very exaggerated and like not in a fun way. But in her, I really enjoyed it. I really liked like her whole vibe, her whole persona, I guess. Yeah, she lied about a lot of things, but honestly, I can't blame her because if I had gone through what she had to go through, like, I would want to erase my past too. Like, don't ask me. That didn't happen. I popped into this earth already 16. Before that, I didn't exist. Nothing happened. You no. And honestly, I actually admire her for like going through all that she went through and coming out on top in a way and like keeping everything up and still fighting for giving her children a better life than she had and finding a way. Like, she's a very she's a very attractive woman. She knows that she's attractive and she knows that she can use that to like get the things that she wants. And I like a character that knows her their own power and how to use it, and he uses it very well. Like, she doesn't strike you as the mastermind kind of person, but she's very smart, very resourceful. She spins the situation so she always comes out on top. Now, listen, I usually do not condone murder. Like, I'm pretty against murder. People, please do not murder other people. That's wrong. But, but, and this is a big but, when it comes to killing grown men that make passes at young girls, young teenage 15-ish year old girls, I'm willing to look the other way and secretly root for you to succeed in your endeavors. And if those endeavors involve getting rid of a body, I will not say anything because that grown man, that P, had it coming. So yeah, that actually made me root for her so much more. Now, in the show, Georgia has like three major love interests. Two of them she actually gets involved with at some point, and one of them is just like there's hints here or there that he could be a love interest, but like in at least in this season, nothing really happens with him. There's the mayor, who I completely forgot his name. I'm sorry. Then there's Zion, who's Ginny's dad, and he's kind of like a moving pattern in their lives. Like he comes and he goes because he's an adventurer and a free spirit. So they never got together after having Ginny because she wanted him to be able to follow his dreams, but he usually like goes to visit Ginny, and then he ends up hooking up with Georgia, and she calls him her penguin, and that's like an inside joke between them. But if you know, penguins mate for life, so that's kind of like a hint to that too, even if she doesn't mean it in that way. But yeah, he's like a constant pattern, a constant, non-constant pattern. And then there's Joe, who's a worker, who's the owner of a coffee shop that she frequents a lot. And honestly, if I'm gonna compare this show to Gilmore Girls, which I am, Joe would be like Luke. He's the one that I said that nothing happens with him. He just like there's some hints, but I can tell that they're trying to do the Luke and Lorelai thing here with Joe and Georgia. And I mentioned the three men because I want to say that I don't know who I ship Georgia with. Like, I ship her with all of them and at the same time with none of them. I wouldn't be disappointed whoever she ends up with because honestly, the three men are good fits for her in some way or another. Like, the mayor represents the power that she wants to have, and he is also a good man. He's good with her kids and all of that, but he represents like her means to the end of the actual life that she wants. Zion is like the dream, like the free dream, the life that she wishes she could live, but she's not going to, and living with the artist and all of that. And there's like this really deep connection with him. And Joe is like a nice guy, down to earth, like Luke and Lorelai, as I said. So yeah, I could see her having a good life with any of the three of them. Probably the mayor is the one that caters most to like her actual desires of wealthy life, even though Zion has a lot of money too, but like he's an artist and he's more fickle in commitment wise, I guess. Um, but yeah, no, I could see her with whoever. I just want to say that I don't like who she ends up with, like at the end of the first season. Not because I don't like the guy, because as I said, I don't have an issue with any of the three of them, but just because of the situation. Like she cheats on him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I don't care. You got it out of your system. Now you're with me." And I'm like, I'm not okay with cheating. Like in any scenario, I don't even care if they're fictional characters. I hate cheating in any sense, in any way, sense of form. Like no. But yeah, whatever. Georgia is like the most interesting character in the whole show, in my opinion. She carries the show, and yeah, I'm rooting for her to get away with all of her crimes because she deserves it. Now on Ginny, I I don't know if I have much of an opinion on her because she's like a typical angsty teenager. And like, yeah, she's annoying sometimes. She's a brat. Sometimes I kind of dislike her or her like reactions and her decisions and all of that. I think they're pretty dumb. But like that just comes with being 15. So like I can't judge her and I can't complain if I find her annoying because that's just realistic. Like every 15-year-old is annoying. I was very annoying when I was 15. I still am very annoying. Hello. So yeah, I can kind of understand the thought process behind most of her decisions, even if I don't agree with them. And if I'm just seeing her for what she is, which is a 15-year-old confused teenage girl, I don't have like much to say about her, and I don't have like a problem. As I said, I sometimes don't agree with her actions, but just like with her mom, I have a sort of similar issue with Jeannie cheating on her boyfriend because I hate cheating. Like that's very unforgivable in my book. Even if I would still choose Marcus over Hunter any day, cheating is just not okay. Oh, and I think that her reaction when she finds out who her mother really is and what she has done, I would call it normal. It's understandable. But honestly, if I found out that my mom killed my stepdad because she saw him touching me inappropriately, I don't think I'd have an issue with that. As I just said before, like, I'm willing to look the other way when, like, in those specific cases. I'm willing to go to court and defend her if she wants me to. I wouldn't run away from her. Like, I understand the whole thing of she lied to me, I don't know who she is, she never told me about her past. But to be honest, I don't think you're completely entitled to knowing everything about your parents' past. I mean, you probably should. I'm not saying it's bad that you want to know or that you know, but especially when you're 15, I don't think it's completely necessary that you find out every single trauma that your mother has gone through. Like, no. And yeah, there are some things that our parents do to protect us, like killing predators, that you don't have to run away from home because of them. And if you're running away because she lied to you, honestly, I would prefer a mother who lies to me, but to protect me, than a mother who prefers to stay with her rich husband who's a predator just because she wants to remain married, you know? Like, but yeah, anyways, Ginny is like a pretty normal teenager. Not much to say here. Now I'm gonna talk about Max, like very briefly, just because I feel like I have to mention Max. Like, she's Ginny's best friend. She's a lot, a lot. Again, she sometimes annoyed me. Like, I had enough of her. But she's so wholesome too, and she's an actual good friend to Ginny. And I understand how hurt she was, like in the last episode. She's completely justified to be that hurt. And yeah, no, I don't know. I think she's adorable, and she can be very rash, very imprudent. I don't know if that's a word in English. Like that's, I'm having like lapses of knowledge right now, but yeah, she can be a lot, and she can be very inappropriate sometimes. But honestly, she's fun. She's nice, and the moment that I really felt for her because I saw myself in her was when her girlfriend breaks up with her because she doesn't want to hurt her in the run and whatever. Like, I just had war flashbacks and I felt really bad for her. And like, I wish my friends would have gotten me Oreos when I was broken up with. Like, my best friend got me ice cream, so I guess that's okay. But yeah, I just had to mention Max because now I'm gonna talk about her twin brother, Marcus. 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 The only way that I can describe Marcus is as fully, utterly, completely my type of guy. And I'm not ashamed to admit it. Like, I've always had a thing for the scrawny, tall, brooding, troubled, mysterious, actually sensitive kind of guys. And like the fact that he actually has feelings, a boy with feelings. I'm sorry. And he worries about Ginny when, you know, that scene when she's with the lighter and all of that. And I don't know, he was just my kind of guy from the get-go. Like when you see him all stoned and his mom is reprimanding him and he's all like, so what? I just I liked him a lot. Like from his first scene, I knew that guy was gonna be my guy, and I knew that I was going to root for him to end up with Ginny, even if he was bad for her. And he kind of was, but at the same time, he kind of wasn't. And I feel like I need to point out, like, even though he's my type of guy, even though I liked him, he has some very troubling behaviors. He does some things that are very stalkerish. A lot of things that only actually work like in movies and TV shows for the main love interest. But like if in real life any guy I just met climbed in through my window, no matter how hot he is, we wouldn't be having sex. He would end up with a broken nose. So like that was one of the decisions on Ginny's part that I was like, what are you doing? What is it? No, no, stop it now. Like scream for your mom, like kick him out. He just climbed through your window like a stalker, like a yeah, no. And also the sort of cheating on Padma thing, not cool, bro. And he really needs to work on his impulse control. But there I'll give him a pass because he's a troubled teenager, so whatever. So yeah, I just wanted to show my appreciation for Marcus because I loved him. He's my guy. He's exactly my type, as I already said. Even if I wouldn't want him climbing through my window the first week we met. And even after that first week, like maybe if we got to know each other and all of that, I wouldn't mind him like getting through my window if he knocked first. Because what if I'm like changing or something? What if I'm doing something else? Like when he is climbing up there and George is in the room and Ginny isn't, it's like, yeah, you never thought that could happen? Like, knock first, text her, hey, can I come over? And then climb to the window. Don't just show up like that. But anyways, I'll give him a pass because he's angelic. We love him. And from one teenage romantic interest to the other one, Hunter, I am very, very split about Hunter because he's not a bad guy. He's a genuinely nice guy. He's smart. He's dedicated. He was probably a great first boyfriend to have in some ways because he could be a little distant when he was busy with schoolwork and all of his other activities, but he was also kind of considerate sometimes. He had some good gestures, but he was so cringy. Like, in the beginning, I was kind of rooting for him, like in the first date, when he was like, let's skip the small talk. I was like, yeah. When he just hugged her in the first date, I was like, you're a cute guy. You're a nice guy. Yes, I'm kind of rooting for you because I'm also rooting for Marcus. But yeah. And then when the Snapchat streak thing started going on and he was like sending her videos, I was like, no, 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 no. You just lost your cool card, my guy. That was like so cringy and so annoying. Like I would have probably left him on red. Like I would have laughed. I would have been like, "Oh, cute, thank you," but like wouldn't reply. No, I'm sorry. And then his big gestures, like the song was cute, even if he is not a great singer. It was cute that he did that he put himself out there. I would have probably been a little bit embarrassed by that, like if he was singing to me, but at the same time, I would be like embarrassed for him.
Ginny, something's happening.
Ginny Miller, this song's for you.
This is the most romantic thing that's happened.
I can barely breathe when you are near.
I would be like, oh, now everybody knows that I'm with this guy. Damn. And then the tap dance number, like, those are the gestures that really make me split on how I feel about him. Because on one hand, I appreciate the effort and the gesture and the wanting to do something big and nice for your girlfriend's birthday. That's cute. Congrats. You do you, boo. But at the same time, it's like, that was very public and not that great. And like, what is the need for big gestures to always be public? That I don't know. That's kind of embarrassing, in my opinion. And I don't know. By the middle of the relationship, I really was just hoping for Ginny to dump his ass. But then she never did, and she just cheated on him with Marcus. And by the end, when Hunter finds out and he's all hurt by that, I really felt for him. but at the same time, I didn't really care because I'm here for Marcus. So yeah, Hunter is a very black character. But yeah, as nice as Hunter is, he stood no chance against the bad boy. Sorry. Nah. And that's it for like specific characters that I have thoughts on. Mostly Marcus. I love Marcus. If the actor somehow sees this, hit me up, please. We're the same age, actually, please. um, but yeah, other than those characters, I don't have much thoughts on all of the others. The other two girls in Ginny's friend group, I absolutely despise. They're the worst kind of friends. Like, they ditched her. They let her down when she was like racially profiled in the store. And they were like, no, yeah, she was the only one that's, oh my God, I hated them. From that point on, no matter how nice they could have been to Ginny, they would have never been redeemed in my eyes. Never. And yeah, I kind of felt bad for, I think it was Abby. Yeah, I think she was Abby. The girl who had like trouble with her parents and with her body image. I really did feel bad for her. But at the same time, that couldn't last because she was also so mean and so, yeah, no, I felt bad for her because I've been there. I've been not exactly there, but I've been the friend who's ditched because all of her other friends have partner now, and you're like, hey, I'm going through shit, but you're all busy with your girlfriends and boyfriends and all of that. But at the same time, she was very infuriating in her way of going on about it. And like I was already biased against her for the whole store incident. So no matter how sympathetic I could have been to her issues, I still don't like her. And another thing, I kind of really felt bad for Austin and everything that he was going through, but at the same time, I didn't care enough. Like, yeah, no. Now I just have like some random unorganized thoughts, like on the show in general, and more specifically on the dialogue and the addressing of some of social issues that they present in the show. First, the dialogue, I think it was fine, especially coming from shows like Riverdale and Wings. Like, my expectations weren't that high. And this time, I really could buy it that some teenagers would speak like that. And yeah, I think this had regular dialogue. There were some lines that were kind of out of place, kind of weird, kind of like, oh, hello, fellow kids, or something like that. But in general, as far as Netflix show goes, this didn't have that bad dialogue. Now, when it comes to presenting and addressing some social issues, I don't know how to feel about it because the thing is, I grew up on shows that didn't really present or address many of these things. Like, if they ever mentioned, I don't know, racism, racial identity, body image, or anything like that, it was very superficially or in like a special episode that didn't really do anything to address the issue, you know? And I find it pretty great that the newer shows that are coming out are addressing more and more those kinds of issues. Even if sometimes when they do it, the way they do it feels forced or weird or out of place. And especially when you have a mostly white staff, I haven't really looked into, but I'm guessing it's mostly white people writing a scene where one of the characters, who's half Taiwanese, literally calls the discussion the Oppression Olympics. That was the absolute worst moment in the whole show. Even if the discussion could have led somewhere important, somewhere interesting, it didn't though. But if it could have, the simple fact that one of the characters called it Oppression Olympics killed it. Killed any kind of important discussion that could have been held in that situation. And I I really do think that talking about like your identity when you are mixed, or the Asian and Black stereotypes, I think those conversations are very important. But I don't think they should be had by white people speaking through characters of color in a show. Like, if those discussions are going to be held, then they should be written by people of color. And yeah, honestly, and if people of color wrote that scene, as I said, I haven't really looked into it, then why does it feel like a white person talking through characters of color? Like, it doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel like it comes from experience, you know? In general, I think that if you skip or if you leave out that scene the Oppression Olympics that everybody was making fun of in Twitter, deservedly so, if you leave that out, then the whole show is not that bad. Like, the internet was tearing it apart for that scene and for a passing comment about Taylor Swift's dating life. But I think it's still worth watching, and not even hate watching, because there are some shows that the internet makes fun of and then everybody watches them because they want to hate watch. This show, you could hate watch it if this isn't like your thing, if this isn't your preferred genre, then this is a perfect show for hate watching. But honestly, I think it's good. Just good. It's not great, it's not the best. It's just good. But what do I know? Maybe I'm biased because this gave me very much Gilmore Girl vibes, but then they added some murder mystery and a troubled skinny white boy, and I was like all in. But yeah, in general, I think it was a pretty decent show, and I would love it if it's renewed for a second season. But even if it isn't, I think that the cliffhanger that they left it at is not that bad if it's only going to be one season. Again, I would prefer it if Netflix renew it, but with all the hate that it's getting online, I don't know if it's going to. But I don't know how Netflix renewals work. Like, they renew their most random shows that nobody actually likes, and then they cancel the shows that everybody wants to know how they continue. So I don't know. But yeah, if you haven't watched the show and you've only heard of it through this video or Twitter, give it a chance. Don't be shy. Go watch it. Scroll through your phone at the beginning if you want to, if you don't want to pay attention. Eventually, let me tell you, something's gonna catch your attention and you're gonna be hooked and you're gonna binge it. And if you've already watched the show, leave me a comment telling me what you thought about it, what your opinion on Ginny and Georgia is, like the characters, not the show itself. Um, who you ship Georgia with and who you ship Ginny with. Anything really. Who your favorite character was. Any comment that you want to leave about the show or in general, anything. The comment section's free and it's open. Go there. And yeah, give this video a thumbs up if you sort of enjoyed it. And if this is the first video of mine that you're watching, or it's not the first but you're still not subscribed, maybe consider subscribing. I post videos about anything. Anything that I want to talk about. And on today's video, I really tried to stay organized, but I still had some chaotic energy because I'm really tired. Yeah, I didn't sleep at all last night. and and I'm kind of like spacey, I guess. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for riding this train of thought with me. All right, bye!